It's really an eye-opening and fun presentation and activity.
I'll get this area if you'll get that.
Thanks. Yeah, so the next public urban stream adventure will be October of this year. We have a pond float next month. There'll be a paddle fest in August. And we have a stream cleanup in September, which are also open to the public. It's just not a recreational paddle. So that part of the organization is all volunteer-based. So we can't go out every Saturday because we would lose our volunteers. Yeah, so those happen every year, usually I think 3 or 4 a summer, starting in May.
Hi. What is the purpose of the Lowhead dams and how much does it cost to mitigate one of them?
That's a good question. As for the purpose of the Lowhead dams, I actually don't know because it never occurred to me to ask because I was just always taught that they were not really helpful from a watershed perspective, but I can find that answer out for you. And then in terms of mitigating, it's a fairly expensive process because it involves in-stream work, a lot of surveying ahead of time. I don't want to give you an exact number because that's more in Jim's area, but I can give you my card and I can find you out an answer.
We have more information over here.
Oh, good.
The Lowhead dams are for controlling water flow, and so it steadies the water flow. And they are a U.S. Corps of Engineers design feature, and that whole channel, that great big concrete basin, was there for flood control, but it wasn't for restricting the water per se, but it was to get it channeled away from the land as fast as possible. And so the Lowhead dams are just to maintain a level of water so that the thing doesn't dry up completely, because that endangers the concrete. If the concrete's not wet, it deteriorates faster under UV. So the Lowhead dams were to keep a constant level of water along those concrete channels.
And what are the gates for that you showed pictures of as well?
The gate that's a gate to keep animals from going into the stream. So any place where there's cattle or horses, you'll find gates like that across the stream. And they do protect the owner's animals, but they also restrict what can go up and down the.
Thank you, my co-presenter.
You guys are working us today.
Howdy. Several of my years, I practiced water chemistry, water treatment and all that. Just want to let you all know that you should be, when you're driving around, of course it doesn't make any difference, but if you're walking near a stream, check it out. Because I do that habit because I'm interested in it. So, but you'll find if you see scummy water, called now that I know, call the yacht club. If you see foamy water, bubbles, call the yacht club. If you see oil, I've seen these creek. I'm talking about the Mill Creek. I've seen a little creek with just a nice layer of oil on top of the whole creek, and they called EPA. At that time I didn't know the yacht club existed. So just be aware of your water because it's something near and dear. So take a look at it, and if you see something that looks goofy, call the yacht club.
Okay, I'm not sure if what I have is a question. It may end up being a question. So we'll just go for it. I am curious about the stream bank erosion mitigation. So I live near, there's 2 West Forks on here. So I live by the one that's West Fork Road. And up to a certain point, like just a little bit, if you're familiar with Putz's, just a little bit past that, it's concrete channel, and then it's kind of, I just say it's wild. but the erosion there is, I mean, it's extreme and it's encroaching upon the road. And I'm wondering if you guys have any plans for that, or, cause you know, we had, further down Green Township, getting towards like Sailor Park and Addison, you know, there was the Muddy Creek where that just was let go and it eroded. The roadway is just gone. I guess I'm just curious about, you know, what do you do in this kind of situation? Because it's, I mean, there's parts of West Fork Road where it's, you look over and it's 1 foot before it's a cliff.
Thanks. So we do have all kinds of projects going at any given time. Jim is very good at finding potential projects, but we always love it when people contact us and say, hey, there's this problem area. Is this in the watershed? Is this something, you know, that is a potential project? So please, you know, if you see something like that, contact our office and let us know. We are a very small staff, like I said, so we're not out and around as much as we would like to be, always in the watershed. And then in terms of whether something can be done, that usually really depends on whether it's public property or private property. To get a project done on private property, the owner has to grant a conservation easement in perpetuity. A lot of people don't really want to do that, which is understandable. But if the owner is interested, in some cases something can be done. If it's public property, then very often we can get a grant for it.
Okay, I had a question. I'm over on the east side and I'm more familiar with the Little Miami than, this is the first I know anything about Mill Creek. I was wondering if you could just give a sort of a comparison of water quality between Mill Creek, the Ohio River, and the Little Miami to kind of see where it is in relationship to other water around here.
Sure, thanks. So the Mill Creek is actually one of 4 main rivers in the area, the others being the Little Miami, Great Miami, and the Whitewater that comes in from Indiana. In terms of Little Miami versus Mill Creek, Little Miami also has some combined sewer overflows, not nearly as many as the Mill Creek. It's in relatively much better shape, but it does have a lot more agricultural influence. So the nutrient levels can end up being a lot higher in the Little Miami. It is a national scenic river,
Well, it
so
started in the 60s.
Yeah.
Reclamation started there in the 60s.
exactly. So relatively, it's in very good shape. One of the main differences we do see is in those nutrients from agricultural runoff.
Robert, your question?
Since this is a political gathering, the new sewer system in Cincinnati is going to cost $3 billion. Is that system going to keep is it going to be closed enough not to have the overflow you're talking about? And then I have just one more question.
Sure. So the combined sewer overflow system, the city is currently under a consent decree from the US EPA to eliminate combined sewer overflows into the creek and out of their system. That is a very, very expensive process. And unfortunately, infrastructure is just expensive to maintain and replace. I can't speak to whether it will completely eliminate it, but that is the end goal.
In your opinion, who's the most friendly Mill Creek politician or leader we have in Ohio?
I would direct you to my executive director to answer that question. Because I don't really, those are not the relationships that I have.
What about our present mayor?
Our present mayor has been to some of our events and our groundbreakings. He's fairly friendly with the Mill Creek. We don't really have any politicians that don't like us. I will say that.
Back here.
Hold it up higher, Bill. Higher.
So I want to say that I've had the privilege of paddling on both the Mill Creek and the Little Miami. And I went out with the yacht club. There weren't any yachts, though. It's a little disappointing.
They're named like yachts.
They're named like yachts.
Personal yacht.
It's a fake club.
Pocket yacht.
And also in terms of names, just as the Koch brothers and John Boner prefer to be called Boehner and Koch, I believe the Putz people want to be called Poots. Okay. In terms of funding you, I assume you're a 501(c)(3)?
Yes.
And I remember when I was part of Community Shares, you guys were part of Community Shares. Are you still?
I don't believe so. I've been with the council since last September though, so
Well,
it's,
I'm going back 10 years.
yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. Our funding does come from a variety of sources. We have private donors that, we send out quarterly updates about what we're doing and quarterly asks. We have watershed communities that contribute to us annually to support our work. We actually have a lot of corporate partners in the watershed. A lot of companies that might not strike someone as being particularly supportive of water quality, but many of them are actually very enthusiastic and excited to support us. They don't just give us money, they often participate in our programs and volunteer on our projects. Some of our money comes from grant funding, some of it state, some of it federal. And yeah, so those are our main sources of income at this point in time.
Okay, another question. You spoke that you have interns. Right now you have 3 interns.
2.
How does one become an intern, and how many can you support at any one time?
Excellent question. You become an intern by emailing me and telling me you're interested. And then there's an interview process. Occasionally we put out a posting with local universities for interns. And as for supporting at any one time, we're pretty much capped at 2 or 3 because we do work out of that converted house, so we're just limited in the number of people we can fit. So yeah, we usually have at least 1 or 2 per season.
And what do they do?
The interns, we had a co-op last semester that was specifically working on organizing information that had been brainstormed for a new strategic plan to guide our work for the next 3 years. And so she worked on adapting all of the notes and ramblings and scribblings into a more cohesive document that could be handed over. We're actually currently without an executive director and have been since January to the incoming executive director. So that's what she worked on. My intern right now is out planting trees, and she is more of a general intern who is studying environmental studies at UC. This is her first job with an environmental organization, and so part of it is just getting her experience in all the different areas that an environmental nonprofit works in. And so she's been helping us plan our annual recreation celebration, which is our big annual event in September. Although this year it's in August, we moved it up a month. She also helps us with general, outreach to communities, to potential sponsors for events, and she'll be helping me with some of the data entry from our water quality monitoring program later this week. So it's really just whatever is going on at the council in a given week, which is similar to my job.
Is that a co-op job for her or something else?
The spring student was a co-op, the summer student is an intern. It just depends on their situation.
Any more questions? What's the difference between a creek and a river?
I believe the difference between a creek and a river is length. I think a creek is capped at 99 miles and anything over that is technically a river. But I heard that from a friend of mine in high school one time, so I can't vouch for it. He's very convincing.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it. You're not going to find a good answer if you try to Google it, because I try to backstop him all the time and it just never works out. So that's the best answer I have for you. It seems to make sense to me.
Any more questions? Okay, I'd like to thank Emma for coming
Thank you
with us
very
today.
much.
You have really informed me a lot. I mean, I knew the Mill Creek was there and you would see signage about the Mill Creek, but now I know more. So thank you so very much.
So on the flyer I sent out to everybody, this time I put we'd be able to talk about the Comey-Trump situation. And did everybody see the testimony? Does anybody have any comments about either the testimony or the way it was responded to, or what's coming up this afternoon with Jeff Sessions?
He's a leaker.
Water,
Yeah, there are many things that could be said about the Comey testimony. The one thing that really registered with me was what Comey said, that how gigantic an influence the Russians have had in it, and that Trump never said one negative word against the Russians. He's hooked. He's held by them. I think, I don't know what's going on, but it was very significant. He never once said a negative word about the Russians.
Come on, we're Democrats. Doesn't anybody have anything to say?
I think that Comey